Welcome everyone to another Conversations in the Void. As always, I am Graveyard, and of course, joined by my off-screen producer Salem, who is our timekeeper. He's in the chat. Make sure to say hi to Salem because he likes to hear from every single one of you. Surprise episode we had yesterday. So we have 2 episodes this week, and I've been talking to this individual for a number of weeks now, getting time for him to come on. I was able to go through a lot of his catalog past couple of days and research. Let's bring him on. He calls himself the Overlord of Slash and Chill Productions. He's a writer, director, producer, and effects guy. So let's get up from the one and only Jake Perry.
Hey. So I didn't give myself that title, just for the record. That was my actors.
I mean, if you're the owner, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how are you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Awesome. Like I said, just been watching your stuff the past couple of days because I'd like to, know what everyone is doing, and then we'll bring them on there because I like to talk behind the scenes stuff without spoiling anything for anyone that hasn't seen it yet. So let's get into this, shall we? So, with you writing, directing, and producing, do you remember if there was a movie that made you go, hey, I want to do this, whether it be professionally or for fun?
Yeah, I've actually thought about that a lot, and it was the moment when I saw Dawn of the Dead.
Ooh.
The original. Like, I had watched a lot of horror, like sneaking and watching it as a kid, and when I saw Dawn of the Dead, I was 12, and I was with my cousin at a girl's house that he was trying to hook up with, and her sister was hitting on me, and I see all of this magnificent gore on the TV. Totally takes me out of that moment. So she gets mad, but I'm just blown away by this. And for had to have been a year or two, I thought it was called Donna the Dead, not Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, the effects on that really blew me away. And then I ended up seeing Evil Dead 2, which if you've watched my stuff, you can see that's a lot more. When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that is what I can do. That is my thing. I'm funny and I like gory crap. So that's kind of what made me run with it.
Yeah, Evil Dead is my franchise I absolutely love and near to my heart. To the pet, I have half a horror sleeve of just Evil Dead.
Nice. That's actually my plan on my leg. And for God's sake, my kids are named after horror icons. My daughter's name is Ash.
My son's is Ash.
Oh, yeah?
Ash William.
Nice.
So would you say that Dawn of the Dead was your first horror movie you had seen, or do you recall it was before that?
No, it was the first gore movie that I had seen. Well, I say that I wouldn't call like Nightmare on Elm Street a gore movie in my mind. It like over the top kind of stuff like that. My mom liked like Hitchcock and American Gothic, and she liked a lot of psychological stuff, and that's never really been my thing, man. I like visual effects. And I was that kid with the pen and the glue and the toilet paper making stuff. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of my stuff is still around that basis that I was using when I was a kid. I just figured crap out.
Right. So, I mean, do you remember what your first horror movie was overall then?
It was probably Psycho. Ooh. That was the one that stood out to me. Now, not to make myself old, which I am, I was born in 76, so there wasn't. I got to later in my childhood experience the wonder of they came out with all these new materials that people are able to play with for effects in the 80s. So I got to be there for that whole thing. And if you see my stuff, I lean very heavily that way. It's that. And my wife actually worked in funeral homes for years. And she laughs because I don't like being around dead people. Like the real stuff grosses me out. But if you give me fake stuff, I want it to be more than gory, more than anything. But that makes my wife gag, where the real stuff, she's totally fine with. I think she's the psycho in this relationship, but don't tell her that.
There you go. So, I mean, it sounds like you're a good horror hound, like myself and my producer Salem as well. To you, what is the most overrated horror? Either be a movie, franchise, TV show, video game.
Ooh, I'm gonna get cussed at by a lot of people for this stuff, but I hate what Rob Zombie's done. Like his whole shtick. Like I was so because I liked Rob Zombie,
Mm-hmm.
and when he was going in and they were like, okay, he's gonna make this movie, I was so pumped. And then they're like, oh, they don't want to release it because it's so rated, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And I saw it, and I'm like, I've already seen the Chainsaw Massacre, bro. You don't have to steal everything. I get a lot of hate for that, but that's the way I feel. And I still watch all of his movies and try, and what he did to Halloween just wrecked it for me.
Right.
Michael Myers is probably my favorite serial killer.
Oh yeah, he's on my back of my arm there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like so we get a lot of hate because our opinion is really The Exorcist. What we think is
Yeah, I never thought it was that good. Yeah. That whole
So
possession and ghost thing just doesn't do it for me.
yeah, we're not generally fans of satanic panic stuff, so it's just kind of what we are. But on the flip side, what is the most underrated horror IP or franchise that you think should get more love than what it gets?
You know, what I would like to see a lot more of is good werewolf movies, dude.
Ooh.
There's just not enough of them. I mean, you had the ones in the 80s, but then what have they really done since that's really stood up to that?
I like Cursed a lot.
I can't really speak on that one. I saw it once, but it was in passing. It wasn't one that drew my focus.
Yeah, I just liked it because it was Wes Craven, and the effects reminded me a bit of the original American Werewolf.
Yeah, see those, seeing the howling and stuff like that was pretty profound for me too as a kid. But that was werewolves were the thing that actually scared me, where almost nothing else did.
I mean, I find werewolves that fight sparkly vampires to be pretty terrifying myself.
Yeah, all you need is the bubble party to go along with it.
Yeah. Did you like the Benny the Bull's Wolfman that they did about 2010? I think it was.
It was interesting. I mean, taking it for what it was supposed to be, I thought it was really cool, but that's not like I want the other kind of werewolf, like serial killer alien werewolves.
Right.
Like the long face, mostly a dog instead of what the wolf man was.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you're right. I think they're due for a resurgence. We're getting a resurgence of vampire that's getting more terrifying with Abigail coming out, I think this month. Last year we had the last voyage of the Demeter that we were bringing horror back to the classic monsters,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I'd love to see them come back. Yeah. Yeah, I just want them to come back with the Universal monsters.
Yes, exactly. And I mean they've touched up like Frankenstein, talking about the Universal monsters. They've touched on Frankenstein a couple times and it's been pretty well, but it seems to not go over very well. But I thought they were cool. What was that? Victor Frankenstein, that was good. And then who was that one? Was it Thomas Jane that was in that one?
I Frankenstein?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool one, man. I really dug that.
Yeah, I know that they're playing I think Johnny Depp. I think he said he was going to be in the Bride as Frankenstein's monster.
Really?
Or someone big is supposed to be. I don't remember who it is. I thought it was Johnny Depp.
Could you imagine that guy's a character actor and stays that way? So
yeah.
I kind of want to see the behind the scenes of that though, more than I want to see the movie.
Yeah. Do not watch Lisa Frankenstein. It was not.
You're the second person that's told me that. I keep almost clicking on it, but my buddy Miguel, he was my assistant director when we were in Texas. The guy that plays Herman Monster Hunter, He actually was the one that told me that. Me and him usually see pretty much eye to eye on movies, so I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, for sure. But let's get to more about Jake Perry and his way of thinking. So how did you get into making these shorts and filmmaking, and really with Tapeworm Z?
So I spent my entire life being the guy that would always say, "Oh man, we should make that movie," to my friends when we're talking, and I'd say something ridiculous. I always had ideas, but growing up super poor, had no means to actually do it. Just always dreamed about doing it, and then years and years went by of me saying it, and then at one point, I was sitting at work and I was talking to my buddy Jared, the guy that did Insectoid, and another buddy Sebastian, the one that played the big werewolf in Serial Killer Alien Werewolves. And I remember we were talking about all the worst tropes of horror movies and how somebody should just take all of them and throw them into one movie and make it intentionally the worst thing you've ever seen. And I said, we should make that movie, just like I've said a million times. And that day, something snapped in me. And I said, you know what? We're going to do it. I had no idea how to do it. So this was on a Tuesday. So I immediately go to Craigslist and find a camera. And it was a little crappy Sony Handycam. Bought it for $100. It was nothing, bro. And I go to pick it up from the guy, and he's got this Tascam recorder. And he's like, "Hey, do you need this?" I'm like, "The camera's got a microphone on it. I don't need that." So, in hindsight, that could have helped me a lot right then and there, but it didn't. It took me a while to learn that lesson. But come Saturday, I had this rough draft that we had, and we just started filming this movie where I'm literally telling the guys what to say, and then they just say it on camera. And you watched it. I mean, it turned out funny as hell.
Yes.
So many gimmicks in it, which I will say, not that I'm saying Velocipaster ripped me off on by any means, but if you've seen Velocipaster, there's a couple of gags in Serial Killer Alien Werewolves that show up years later in that movie.
It's been a while since I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The head. The scene where I intentionally drooped the green screen so that you could see that it's green screen. And they did that when they were doing the driving scene. They dipped it and everything. I was like, really? I seriously doubt the dude ever saw my thing. But weird coincidence. You know what I mean?
For sure. And then, you had Tapeworm 2, which was really leading into Tapeworm Z.
Well, really, truly, Tapeworm 2 started out as a fake trailer for Texas Frightmare Weekend.
Okay.
It's like a competition thing that they do. You make a trailer that has nothing to do with anything, and that's all it's ever going to be. So we made one. We got together, and we put together all these scenes that had nothing to do with each other, and it didn't make sense why they were together. And we released it as a fake trailer. Well, then we get tons of people at Frightmare Weekend. I literally went from 100 friends on Facebook to almost 5,000 friends on Facebook in a week after the release of that. And it's people wanting to see the film. I'm like, it's not a film. Do y'all even know what you were at? So we end up, me and Miguel sit down and it looked like Charlie Day on Always Sunny, where he's putting the
Peppy Silver.
Yeah. So it looked a lot like that, of me trying to figure out how to put all of these scenes together and then make it into a coherent story, which it kind of did. But we put it together. It was 26 minutes short, and we released it. Well, people loved it. We got actual global distribution on it. It was literally just released overseas on Blu-ray. Weirdest thing. I'm like, why are people watching this? And of course, with the success of that, then everybody's like, well, I want to see something bigger. We want a feature. Well, enter Tapeworm Z. Tapeworm Z is more of the story that I would want to tell, because as you've seen, it's an actual story instead of me making things work together. I retained almost all of the original cast from Tapeworm 2 and put them in this, minus a couple of people that just turned out to not be good people, and I didn't want to continue associating. So we put that all together, and then Tapeworm Z released 2 weeks ago now.
Nice. That's awesome. Because I would love to see some of your other shorts kind of do the same thing, right? You know, I have to ask, you know, first and foremost, what kind of sandwich would you call the sandwich in Killer Sandwich?
Did you watch the credits on it?
No, I did. Did it explain it?
Okay, when at the beginning, when I say based on a true story, it is based on a true story. That was not a joke.
Really?
That actually happened to a friend of mine. Go back and watch it, and watch it during the credits. I've got his original post from Facebook. He literally walked out, and there's a sandwich on his garage, and it looked just like that sandwich. Because I made that one. It's all foam and everything, but I made it to look exactly like it, and it did. But I posted, because it was up there for 3 days of him telling, and he's a really animated storyteller. So when he posts anything, it's just funny. So I didn't tell anybody I was making this. That's why I actually acted in it, because I don't act. I don't like to do that. I like to be behind the camera. But I did it, and then I didn't even tell anybody. I didn't release it. I just sent it to him and waited for his response. Didn't even tell him I was sending it. Nothing. It was just in his email. So he ended up watching it, and he loved it. And now people love it. It's crazy. But he actually, because of that, sent me a bunch of little. He makes these toys too, and he made a bunch of little worms and sent them to me so that I could give them all to my cast and stuff. It was really cool, man.
So do you have any plans of fleshing that out into a full feature length?
No, people always ask me that, and I feel like that story, you just be beating a dead horse. It was perfect the way it was. I mean, in theory, it sounds like good to blow it up, but you're gonna kill the whole vibe of it if you go much more than that. But I will say, in that one, the way I pass time after I get up to the point that I walk outside, that is completely a plug for my favorite director, which is Edgar Wright.
Oh, okay.
The way he did that. That dude he can do no fucking wrong, bud. Like, that guy is so good.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I obviously I ask these questions. You know, you get, as you said, you get to ask these questions too. But you know, let's talk a little bit without spoiling anything. Kind of into Tapeworm Z. You have some recurring characters across multiple projects, right?
Yes.
Now, is everything in the same universe at this point in time?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the Killer Sandwich, you watched Herman, so the Chupa Chancla, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Insectoid, which it's so sad that you haven't seen that yet. Serial Killer, Alien Werewolves, all of that stuff, I would say is definitely the same weird universe. Because why not? It can all happen just the same without playing with any physics or making you have to rethink any of them. Herman, he started, so I guess we did a short when I got a new camera because we just wanted to try it out for low light. And we did a short called Devil Bear, which was actually kind of the pilot for Herman Monster Hunter. And then when we were making Tapeworm Z, I was like, dude, we should totally just bring him into it. And then that's what spawned all the other characters actually being in Herman Monster Hunter episodes. And I mean, you've got Doc in there.
Yep, I recognize him across immediately.
Isn't Doc the best character?
Oh yeah.
Like, I love it. I actually made a T-shirt with him on it. Did you notice that's the same actor that I had in Bart the Killer?
No.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep, that was him and Herman.
Yep, I recognize. Like I said, I recognize Herman from kind of everything because he was also in the Killer Sandwich.
Oh yeah, Miguel's in so much stuff. He's just like my whipping boy. I'm like, hey, we're gonna make this, and you're gonna be in it. He's like, I don't really want to be on camera. I'm like, I don't care. Get over there. But he's just so lovable. I mean, you like his character no matter who he is right out of the gate. It's just that's Miguel's personality. That is his strong point right there.
Now, I mean, I want people to see this movie, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I need to see a full-fledged Herman Monster Hunter TV show like on YouTube. I want like 100 episodes.
Yep. Well, you know because you've seen the movie, and that's just not going to happen, sadly.
Oh.
Plus, now Herman lives 1,300 miles away from me, so that hurts that as well. But yeah, we thought about doing a longer run, but it just fit. It was perfect.
That's good though. Like, I mean, I think that's a good sign that someone like me wants to crave more of this world building that you've already established.
Yes, that does mean a lot, actually.
Now, but so you've done you're the practical effects for this stuff, and you had, I think Miguel did some of the VFX. You talked about like what you've done. What was for you the hardest scene to pull off with special effects?
I don't know. FX is just it's my favorite part. So none of it's really that hard. Like okay, without spoiling anything, the hand. You know what I'm talking about. That took me an hour to come up with the whole thing because that was a last minute. Okay, let's do this.
Right.
Because I don't want to do a cameo, but everybody griped until I did a cameo, so I figured I'd just kill me real quick.
Yeah.
But that's, aside from that, man, the neck.
The neck?
Yeah, right in the beginning of the movie. Because I don't know how big you watched it, but you notice you could actually watch it crawling into her neck. Well, obviously it's not really, but I had to figure out how to make it look that way because I like to show you enough. Too many people just use mind trickery and you just think it works.
That you just fill it in, yeah.
Yeah, and you just, I mean, but you watch the movie. I show you right in the beginning. You actually watch the whole thing, so you have no reason to doubt me later on when I do cheat you. I had one of my friends that watched it argued with me that he saw something that he didn't. I was like, I didn't show you that. He was like, bullshit. And he went back and watched it. He was like, you motherfucker. I was like, yeah, because I already showed you all this other shit right in your face. So why would you doubt something that simple? Like, there's that. Dude, I used the dumbest classic gag, the knife through the head, where it's just on the side. But did you ever doubt me?
No.
Probably not.
No.
It's literally, there's nothing. But it's sold in a way that you don't doubt. I'm going to show you because I've shown you so much stuff. So that's kind of my mindset when it comes to effects is I'm going to show you the big stuff and I'm just going to pacify you with the little stuff because you don't care at that point. You saw the big stuff.
Right. So how many worms altogether would you say that you had to make for the movie?
Holy fuck. I made 35 of those sons of bitches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because if you look in the montage scene, every one of those people has worms. And then I had one hero worm, which that one was a pain in the ass, dude. Because that thing was silicone. You could have thrown it out of a truck at 75 and it would have been perfect. That thing was, somebody actually stole it on set. And we haven't figured out who.
And so you don't have it then, huh?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh.
The hero worm is gone.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I was mad about that one. I was like, damn, because like that puppet was fantastic, dude. Like it fit. I mean, you see the weird way that it moves. That's because my son operated it. Okay. And he was a haunt actor. He's actually in the movie. He's the one that is laughing in the haunt.
Oh, okay.
My oldest son. and he's the one that actually works the worm anytime it's looking crazy. That was all him, but he could stick his arm in there, and where the jaw is, there was a big handle that you could just hold on to like this. And he was able to do weird things with that thing, man. Creeped everybody out.
Interesting. See, this is why I like to learn behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, the behind the scenes is the most fun, I think.
Oh yeah. Now, speaking of kind of behind the scenes stuff, we have to talk about Ocho.
Oh, yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Dude, it seems like a character. Is he like really like that in real life too?
It's a little amplified. I mean, the dude is fantastic at delivering. And it's fun to note that Tapeworm Z was the first time he had ever done comedy. Because he's always the bad guy because of his look. And I like to flip the script. I take that guy that's always the bad guy and make him the comic relief of the movie. And then I take the sweet lady and I make her the bad guy.
Right.
Everybody's like, what the? So you don't know what you're getting from my stuff. It's like, okay, where are we going with this? Right. And but yeah, he was a lot of fun to work with, man. He delivered those lines in a way that you just like. I wrote them that way, but you could never get that out of somebody that just didn't have it in them. You know, he's a funny guy. He's a lot of fun to hang out with too.
I mean, I could only imagine because I was laughing and watching him. He's going onto the street screaming "titty snakes." How can you do that? Like not laughing? It's just astounding to me.
Dude, it was hard. It was really hard.
That was. I said I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I mean that scene is just like he did like everything perfectly. Was that mostly ad lib, or was that kind of with your direction too?
No. It's almost every word was scripted. There's a couple spots like the exchange in the alley when he talks about the TSA. He ad-libbed that, but that's funny because my buddy actually works for the TSA, so it was kind of a jab. So and left that in. A lot of that in the alley up until they're standing there having the solid conversation, that a lot of that was ad-lib. That was him. And funny thing, this shoot was so cursed that I brought on a director of photography that just was, hey, there was Miguel right there.
Oh, that's Miguel. Hey, Miguel.
Hi, Miguel. Nobody's even talking about how I killed you in that room. But I don't even know where I was at. I just saw Miguel. Shit.
No, but yeah, you talk about the TSA agent and Ocho just kind of ad-libbing, and he said the alleyway was ad-lib too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the Predator stuff and all that, dude. He had us dying, and then we brought on that director of photography that ended up. It was a bunch of BS because he ended up using autofocus, and you can't do that in video. So we actually had to bring Ocho out a year and a half later to reshoot almost everything that we had shot a year and a half before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff, man. When you actually watch that, and even on the titty snake scene, when he's inside and outside, we're a year and a half apart.
Wow.
Because the outside part got messed up, and then we had to redo it. So there's a lot of spots right there where you can't even tell that it was shot days apart, much less over a year apart.
So I mean that had to be a labor of love to get this to get made. That if you had a year and a half there, I mean, so how long would you say altogether this took?
Oh, this movie took me just over 2 years. It was cursed, man. I've never struggled with anything when it comes to releasing or getting the stuff done, but that was a bad decision. It was the first time I ever trusted somebody else on the camera. Because I filmed literally everything up until that, and that did scare me. It made it real hard to want to bring anybody else in, which I ended up doing with Sergio, and he turned out to be phenomenal because he was experienced, but he was also willing to listen and learn my way of filming. Because you see, I shoot different than other people.
Right.
I like to have you in the moment instead of back watching the moment.
Right.
a lot of times I mean, it's textbook. You see directors sitting there doing that crap, and I've seen them, and I've tried to do that, and I'm like, that is boring. Like, I don't use tripods anymore. I did in the beginning because it was just me, but then when I learned more about camera movements and how I could get people involved, like there's a scene in the movie where Liv is running through the haunt. You know the part that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And she dips into that closet. Well, you have to keep in mind when she's running through that haunt, it was really that dark. It's really a haunted house. And I was having to run backwards with the camera. And would you believe I got that in one take?
Wow.
Couldn't believe it. But think of the fear of dread, or the feeling of dread that's in that shot when you're standing there, because I'm tucked in a corner watching this right there, you know?
Right.
So that was, to me, one of the most perfect scenes of the movie. I mean, there's a lot of cool shots, but that one, to me, I was like, man, because you almost hold your breath right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can only imagine having to run backwards with that. That's crazy.
Oh, dude, it was terrifying. Holding my expensive camera gear while I'm doing it. It's like, okay, if I fall, I'm gonna be busting my ass because I'm gonna grab my camera like this.
You're right. Yeah, as we also a lot of trial and error on the film. So.
Oh yeah, and I have to say something since I know Miguel's watching and he's gonna cuss at me after this. So his scene where he dies, because obvious that he dies. That haunted house, he actually works in. Okay. And that room where he is killed is actually the room that he works in and runs out and scares people with a chainsaw. So it was only fitting to have him in that room, but this is the kind of asshole director I am. Knowing Miguel, he's the sweet guy. How's he gonna sell being scared? He's never really scared.
Right.
So I said, Miguel, put on your costume, go wait in that room. Okay, that mask that guy is wearing, my son, who's also a haunt actor there, he would wear that mask and it freaked Miguel out. So I put it on a dude that's 6'4" and have him walk in, dragging a stinking sledgehammer.
Yep.
And that spot where you see the blood come out, that's all I did was impregnated a sponge with a lot of fake blood and put it in the actor's mouth and told him, when I hold my hand up, bite it. And that little fidget Miguel is doing, that is totally real. Him running, totally real. And he'll tell you, he's not even going to argue it, because if you can hear it, he says, "Oh, fuck this," and runs. Yeah. Well, then we had that door closed so he couldn't get out. So that was real fear right up until he actually gets killed. Oh, that's why it was so real.
Goddamn KFC
love you.
KFC's chicken skin.
Yes. Where are you seeing that?
So I have to ask, have you ever fallen for the chef special with your day-old sushi?
No, I don't eat sushi. But my daughter, where we moved, there's a sushi place over here that has sushi. What is it? Monday through Thursday after 4, it's half price. And my daughter's like, "We should go there." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I made a whole movie about that shit." And she's like, "Oh, you're right."
Yeah. Yeah, because she's a recurring character from Tapeworm 2 to Tapeworm Z. Right? That's the same actress. That yes, would be on the counter.
Yeah, Lori is a phenomenal actress. She is so sweet. But as you saw, well, you haven't seen Tapeworm 2. I've got to send you a link for
Tapeworm 2. I've just seen the trailer for it though. So
Lori gets to kill my dad in that one. It's really cool.
Oh wow. Yes.
Everything my dad is in, he gets killed. He's actually at the beginning of Seacaw, the crazy old man. That's my dad.
Okay.
And when he fell back in that chair onto the ground, I told him not to do that. There was no padding. He just threw his 70-year-old ass back on the ground. Wow. I was like, dude, you can't be doing that. You're old now. But he don't care.
So for anyone interested, where can they find Tapeworm Z? How can they help support you in your movie?
Tapeworm Z we have on DVD and Blu-ray. They are available at slashandchill.com. Eventually it'll be on streaming, but that's going to be a while. There's just a lot of holdups on that, and well, realistically, that's not where filmmakers make money.
Right.
It's where you get your name out there, but they don't like to pay you. So I got to try to recoup some of the money that I put into it. So physical is the only way to go right now. But as you saw on the website, there's tons of short films. We have a YouTube that apparently I haven't moved everything over, so I got to figure out how to get those over. But we have a great catalog on there, a lot of goofy stuff that everybody can watch and enjoy, and lots of Miguel on there.
There you go. All right, so we're approaching the end of our interview. Let's get into some of these really hard questions for you. Ready?
These are the ones. Let's get ready.
Practical or CGI?
Practical, all day, every day.
No one has ever said CGI in this show. This is our 26th episode. No one's ever said CGI.
I should hope not. And I want to bring up the point you did mention CGI and practical effects in this. The only CGI was the laser blasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So if you, Jake Perry, could work in any IP or franchise, what would it be?
Oh, see, somebody else asked me this, and I'm funny because I don't like fan films. But I would say if I had the opportunity, I would go with Hellraiser because I would like the opportunity to play with Cenobites. With how much I like effects, I think I could have a lot of fun with that.
I mean, let's face it, there's about 4 or 5 Hellraisers there that anyone can do better than that.
Right. But see, the cool thing is there's no freaking rules. Whatever you come up with, you could just run with it.
Yeah.
And with a mind like mine, that could be dangerous.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they throw, hey, Jake, here's $10 million to make Hellraiser, you'd go, hell yeah, right?
Holy shit. I don't know how I'd spend $10 million. I'd sure as hell try.
All right. So with your work in the shorts, with your trials and tribulations of the movies, do you have any advice for anyone getting into this that want to say, hey, I also want to make a movie. Like, we should make that a movie.
Just do it. Quit talking about it and do it. If you don't have cameras, you've got a phone. In the first, I think 3 movies that I had, if you look closely, you'll see a cell phone somewhere in the scene. I was recording audio with my cell phone.
Okay.
So stop thinking of reasons that you can't do it and find ways to do it. Write around what you can, write with what you have access to. I was really fortunate. Billy Pond gave me access to his haunted house, which had a lot of land. We filmed a lot of stuff out there, and it really worked. So there were times where I had an idea for a script, but I'm like, okay, I need to change this so that I can use what I've got. Mm-hmm. Don't write beyond and be stuck because you can't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Because you probably
don't know this, but I guess.
Yeah.
But
Salem and I, we're discussing, we're writing some treatments for some scripts that we want to do. We're trying to figure out really location and access to equipment is the hardest part that I have found while doing research for it, for me at least. So, yeah. All right. So,
are you trying to do a short or are you trying to do a feature? Huh?
A feature. We're doing a feature, yeah.
You're going to start with a feature. Yeah. Okay. First off, you're out of your mind.
That's true.
Really, I learned so much from the short films that if I hadn't learned all that stuff, Tapeworm Z would have been a nightmare. It was already bad because it was so big and there were so many people. Just minimize locations and minimize people. Those are the 2 things that make it the hardest. And number one thing about locations, permits. But if you shoot fast enough, you don't really need permits.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no. All right. So you ready for your random horror trivia question?
Yeah, I'm nervous about this one.
All right. What 1988 film directed by Wes Craven centers around an anthropologist sent to Haiti to research voodoo?
Was it Serpent in the Rainbow?
Yes. Yep. There you go.
Nice.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
I didn't fail this.
All right. So before we sign off, where can everyone follow you, Jake? Where can everyone follow Tapeworm and everything else that you guys do?
Of course, the website, slashandchill.com. We're also on Facebook. There's Slash and Chill Productions, Slash and Chill Knoxville. Tapeworm Z has its own page on Facebook. Follow that, or just find me, Jake Perry, on there. Instagram's the same way. And now, unfortunately, I have a TikTok because apparently that's the new thing that everybody wants to see stuff on. I don't know how to work it yet, though. I'm not going to lie.
I can't do TikTok. I'm too old of a man to do that. So.
Well, luckily, I have a 16-year-old daughter to educate me.
Awesome. I can't stress enough for everyone to go check out Tapeworm Z. Go and support Jake and everything he does so he can keep bringing us great movies and maybe, more Herman Monster Hunter to go along with it. So thank you once again, Jake, for coming on. This has been Graveyard. Make sure to follow us everything that we do at Pod Out at Night and all social media except TikTok because I'm old. And yeah, make sure check out. We have new stuff coming out. I'm also part of Horror Raven Productions, and we are doing shorts and trailers and feature films coming this year, hopefully. So make sure to follow us. And we'll see you next time. And make sure to not get lost in the void. Good night.
Thanks.